Alright, it's cold again. Got a grill going. Trying something a little different today. Put a frozen flat iron on the grill. Got my butter going. Supposedly this works really good. Cook it from frozen, flip it, cook it, and then put it on indirect heat. And it's supposed to be really good. So we'll see. A few minutes on that side. We'll see. Starting to loosen up some. Color's looking better on that side. Still pretty frozen, so have to flip a few more times. Baste, flip, baste. So I didn't season it right because the frozen wouldn't have stuck. So the butter has all my normal seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, all that. So I'm going to baste it on there. Hopefully to build up a crust and some flavor on it. We'll see. Won't be terrible, right? A few more minutes on this side. Basted. Now let's flip it. See what it looks like. So it's starting to loosen up some. Still pretty frozen. But color's looking good. So it's developing a good crust. The thought behind this is that with it being frozen, it makes a juicier, more consistently cooked steak. More edge to edge color, less gray band. I don't know. You know, worth trying. So baste it again. Let it rest. Probably the last flip. Color's getting right. You just want to build the crust, right? You're not trying to cook it through. It's definitely getting softer. So what you do is you get it about right, color-wise, and then you turn your grill down, put it on indirect heat, turn it down, whatever. You got charcoal, indirect heat, you got gas, turn your grill down to a couple hundred degrees, and cook it done to the doneness that you want, like that. So the inside's still really cold because of the frozen piece. And so you want to get the sear on it as quick as you can to get the right color, and then turn it down to coast so you don't overcook it and get that gray band on the outside. So we'll see. Okay, so color's about right where I want it. I'm going to see where it's at. See, the temp is still 75 in the middle. So what I'm going to do is turn my gas down under the steak on low. Should run, this grill runs about 200, 225, 250 when I do that. And that will just kind of let it coast, bake up to temp. Feeling really soft. It's really juicy so far. So baste it again, let it just kind of set. I may flip it again halfway through the temp, just to kind of give it more even cook. But so far, it's looking really good. It smells fantastic. Alright, last flip. Once your butter gets a little charred, it's time to not put that on there. You'll get the rancid flavor. But last baste. You're done with the butter. And just let it coast for a little bit. Grill's been running closer to 300, which is, I'm sure, fine. And we'll just kind of see what the end product looks like in 5 to 25 minutes. I don't know. Never tried this before, so be interesting. Alright, so I'll check the temp again. See how it looks. Right at 126. So that's rare still. That says 128. So it's cooking really consistent. One thing that this would do, who might use this, it's an extremely controlled cook. So if you have big thick steak, this will give you a very big window to hit that perfect doneness that you want, right? So it's like a reverse sear with it being frozen. I don't know, it's kind of different. So I'm going to shoot for 135, a good medium. It'll rest up probably another 5 degrees. And right at the end, the outside's extremely moist. Moist. So I'll probably throw some heat on it just right there at the end to kind of solidify that crust. Okay, temp's 135, 130. You see the quite a bit of juice is pulling up on top. So crank my gas up. I'm gonna dry that off a little bit. Call it good. All right. So let's see. Cut right down the middle. Boy, it looks really good. I mean, that is beautiful. So, cut off the end. It's really consistent. I mean, that's no gradient. Maybe a heck of a deal. Taste. Good steak. It works. Cook your steaks and frozen. So final thoughts. We started completely frozen, flat iron. I really don't think it's going to matter. Thickness, thinness. This may be a really good way to cook a thin steak to keep from overcooking it. We'd seen a bunch of them online, and a lot of people use thicker steaks. The flat iron was a couple of pounds, 1.8-ish, something like that. It's a really good cut of meat. If you guys haven't ever had it, highly recommend it. It's like our favorite outside of a really good ribeye for about half the price. So, heated up the grill, literally just cut open a frozen package. There was no pre-treat at all. We fired up the grill, preheated it up to 550, 600, as hot as it'd go on my grill. It's a balmy 34 degrees outside right now. So obviously not much we could do to get it much warmer than that in the cold temp. So fire up the grill, cut open the package, threw it on there. If I had it to do over again, I would probably sear it really good, flip it, and then season it with just my normal seasoning. It was a little bit bland with just doing the seasoned butter. I would still do the butter to give it some extra fat and to help that crust with the garlic and everything. I really like doing that. So we would probably still try to do that, but I would still probably at least do pepper, garlic, maybe salt. I'm not sure on the salt. I had ate it and it was pretty good. I did some fresh ground salt on top, and that really helped the flavor quite a bit. So overall, wall-to-wall doneness was fantastic, right? It was extremely uniform cooked. And like I said, with a really thin steak or something, don't be afraid to throw it right on there frozen. It would control how quickly that thing cooks while letting you get a good crust on it, I think. So maybe better even for a thinner steak than it would be a thicker one. The one thing on this flat iron that I didn't like, usually when I cook my flat irons, I go through, there's a little tendon that runs through it, so a little bit of silver skin or whatever. I didn't have the choice to trim that up with this method ahead of the cook. So ribeyes wouldn't matter, New York strips wouldn't matter, but if you're cooking an odd-shaped steak or something that you would need to trim, I would recommend trimming it first before you freeze it. You could even pre-season it. I'm not sure. I haven't tried that yet. I've heard people do that. They pre-season their steaks and freeze them, and then whenever they pull them out, they throw them right on there frozen. Haven't tried that yet. I would also be kind of curious to see how this compares to my sous vide. So I'll try that at some point to cook too. We did prefer the sous vide over just straight grill from a room temp steak. So this would be an interesting test. The texture of this steak was very tender. It was, for some reason, the fibers were still pretty dense. Like it didn't let it relax as much, but it was extremely juicy. And that could have been, I might have just undercooked it 5 degrees, right? It was really good. Flavor was really good. There was no off-putting flavors or anything like that. So maybe get it up to 135, 140 if you want a more medium type steak, and that would render some of that fat at 140, 145, some of that intermuscular fat that would make it probably just a little bit better mouthfeel. This was a little dense because it was still pretty rare. Overall though, flavor, fantastic. No prep whatsoever. Heat the grill up, throw a frozen steak on it. Took me right about 45 minutes total, right? And that's getting the grill out, cutting the package open, cooking it, and letting it rest. And this is a 2-pound steak, pretty thick. So kind of figure that in. It's a lot quicker than letting one thaw out or whatever, or trying to microwave it to thaw it out. And it didn't have that strange iron taste that I get whenever I defrost my steaks first before cooking it like that. So absolutely will do that again. especially if you're really steak hungry and you don't have any laid out. Go in the freezer, get a couple of them, throw it on there. I'm really curious to see it on venison, other types of steaks. But venison would benefit to this because you don't want to overcook venison. So I'm going to try it on some deer tenderloin probably next. So if you want to see that video, let me know. Sorry for the terrible editing. I was just putting it on Snapchat and some people was asking me to put it up here. So anyway, appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.